kwan no a NPP etena so edifa emrewafo edifa nkrofo bi a sebe no mo nsem fatade omugura security services ni mu enunti abantie we adwen ne se etwa se John Dramani Mahama any NDC for no ye the same thing.
I don't blame her. I blame the NDC in Pasia for NDC in penny form of Jimmy. NDC in penny form Muni Munyansa. You are the ones I blame. Now NDC in Tia says Amunia special. I'll be honest here. I'm a family one year example.
And this drew my attention to something. Say the reset agenda no His Excellency John Dramani Mahama na ankasa ene ne NDC aban e kan so om de bre yan Ghana for no wo mo ankasa party members ro man ntimi ankyere mu yi ankyere wo mo
se empanifo no bi me fra mu amonfa no me hia wo hwi o anabisi o mini aba anabisi o me ka se minu aba because me mama firstborn e wo
tie oma examples a esa ebo man and fato hu na ode ye no esa ye mfato hu a esai oman tie no o se na constitution a yedi bu man no enye sa constitution na yedi bu
na NPP for nyina wo gbe for Joynews because we up on the time. Now this is trending on social media. So we want to video from your WhatsApp news. Check the comment section straight to the news. Now Joynews is it for a long time. Why by NPP for one time for because the corona why one in the baby and catch one. Now Bosha ever now and then it's sitting some with regards to audit report. Now my phone come out about the National Cathedral home some Ebeka about for now we hear a lot of videos about the National Cathedral. The National Cathedral nankasa no nanka sikana wodi dana. But the point I want to make in there, Joynews as a TV station every now and then be all MPP nature. But MPP, they do not want to understand the reason why Joynews working on nature no. But and then why can the corner actually want to pay? Yeah, ma okwana member in TV set na becha wadwin kekeo. So party say you be so you be onkwe ya. You will speak against it. Now, why man the audit report be fear I catch you off Oya Attorney General. See an MPP what na upokwa wontu mo ntase. Na Attorney General upokwa kakra no ken okana kakra. Ba Joynews wetum no half expose ni na wa baby ensem no. On MPP fu won we fu no. There walk on the time. Na se sabe adna ye na se at sikana di the question point there sikana di aza otedama no. Onye wankasa myself ska. Oya man nyina no futu ska. How come the Joynews cannot talk about it? Chede MPP the moment ebe sponsor one day chede de baby ano we feed the waka wana asem ye nso wobetina bedem no we all saw what happened. Yabada yan won ekeketi asema Joynews kan ya onu nti no wa MPP funya wo gbefu Joynews ma Joynews so se na da bi wo bufu no kwa no obaka mamaza ni share video fun obi WhatsApp ne wi ha charge your comment section.
So there was a bombshell in Parliament today, and let's talk about that tonight here on PM Express. I don't know if you recall, but last year on this same show, the Finance Minister disclosed the existence of some 68 billion cedis, he says, were claims that he could not verify, that he suspects a huge chunk of may have been fictitious or fraudulently presented just to line people's pockets. And so he was going to ask for an audit into it. Well, today, the Deputy Finance Minister was before Parliament to present the findings of that particular audit report, and they had some jaw-dropping details that we'll be interrogating because we're going to have the Chief Government spokesperson with us on that particular subject tonight. So what do we know from what was presented to Parliament today? 68.7 billion was what was at stake that the auditing firms EY and also PricewaterhouseCoopers, working with the Auditor General, had to audit and do a proper job trying to understand which of these could be validated and which of these should be rejected. And as you see there, they only managed to validate 45.4 billion. That is 66% of this total cost there was validated. They rejected 8 billion, that is 11% of that, and some 13.2 billion is pending because there are some issues around that and they're yet to decide what to do with it when they're waiting for some additional documentations on that. So if you take this at face value, there's a significant issue there that needs to be interrogated. But as you may well know, the devil is in the details. So we're going to get to that tonight as interrogated. A few things that the auditors found, and we're clustering this for you. What were the big issues? One is unsupported documentation. So the amounts were presented, but they didn't come with documentation. With that documentation, the finance ministry says they won't pay. Then there's duplication. We also have cases of overstatements, and so the amount was supposed to be X, but then it is inflated or overstated to represent a certain figure. You also have falsified documents that have been fraudulently generated, supposedly to line people's pockets. And then payments that were supposed to be made, but there's no corresponding work to it. But we also found claims of fictitious payments that had been engineered in the system. Some of them, most of them actually, as I will begin to look at shortly, related to one district, one factory. So, if you look at the breakdown of the irregularities identified in the audit, we talk about 4.4 billion has to do with recycling already paid invoices. So payments have already been done, but these invoices have been represented and government is being asked to pay for them again. So in this case, if you do pay, according to this particular audit, you would pay double. You have 1.4 billion representing duplicated and overstated claims. You also have 160 million CDs that were unfounded teacher trainee arrears, significant amounts indeed here. 89 million fictitious debt, we'll interrogate that, and 9.4 million falsified stores receipt. These are jaw-dropping figures for a country that is poor. And so when this came up, you can expect that a minority will have questions. And indeed, they've had questions. And we've not had the last of this just yet. We'll be interrogating all sides of this tonight on the matter. And then some of the key specifics. Let's talk about this 89.4 million fictitious debt claim that the finance ministry was asked to pay. They looked into it, the auditors, by the way, and found that when they wrote to the banks involved, all four banks say they were not owed the money. There were no arrears as far as the interest payments are concerned. So how come it was still on the books of government to pay? Could there be an administrative reason why this happened and not necessarily that somebody was fraudulently acting in a way to corrupt government system and to embezzle funds? We'll ask that question. And then, as you may have heard already, the finance minister has been very clear on the matter of the issues of the one district, one factory. He had said that the entire 1D, 1F scheme requires a forensic audit, which will be carried out soon. And a lot of the infractions and irregularities that we saw in this document relates to that. The Trades Ministry has a lot of questions to answer. And that's something that we'll get into. The individuals under whose watch these things happen, what is it government plans to do with them? Because you cannot just say that you have discovered these jaw-dropping figures that we may have lost and not proceed to prosecute. If indeed you believe that something wrong had happened, why are we not seeing people already being invited for questioning? We'll get clarity on that. Now, then there's a question around this dry spell expenditure on rice, if you remember that particular issue. 34,000 amount of rice was paid for, 24,000 rice received, 10,000 unaccounted for. But we paid for it, so where is the rice? 10,000 metric tons of rice is a lot of rice. So what happened to it? Where are they? We'll try and understand that when Felix joins us for a conversation. And then you have the key audit findings relating to the dry spell expenditure. Again, you've also find in the case of maize that 100,000 metric tons was paid for. 11,900 maize actually received, and this is the big one. 88,100 metric tons unaccounted for. Where is it? Has government tracked it? Who's to blame? And what will the accountability be when the questions are asked? Then you have the case of the next steps. Report has been submitted to the Public Accounts Committee because it's an audit report. They need to sit on it. And that committee, as you know, is chaired by the minority side. The Attorney General is also investigating, and there will be prosecutions, we've been told. Full verification before payments now will happen, and only budgeted expenditures to be committed. And that is something that the Finance Minister is very keen on. So, if you look at the former Finance Minister, who, by the way, the first time this was mentioned, has raised questions about the claims made by the current Finance Minister. He says some claims date back to 2012, 2013. In other words, the 68 billion, he says, is not something that was accumulated only under Akufo-Addo's administration. Is that the case? We'll interrogate that. He also said claims included to create impression NPP generated all in 2024. Again, making the point that you must segregate and divide all these other key issues. So we'll talk about that. But talking about prosecutions, investigations, and government, this is all about issues relating to the fight, the war against corruption. The umbrella campaign for this government is oral. So how does it fit into that picture? And why is there a sense, at least among even NDC foot soldiers and stalwarts, that the government promised far more than a delivery on the oral subject? My guests will also take on those questions right after this. Stay with me.